Welcome to Home Biz Tax Talk. My name is Lysandra Everett. I am the Home Biz Tax Lady, where I help home business owners win the tax game. Home Biz Tax Talk airs Monday through Friday, and when you tune into my show, you're going to hear about topics that are important to the home business community. Lately, I've been getting a lot of calls regarding back taxes, okay? Back taxes, you have people that have not filed in several years. There are some that have not filed 2 or 3 years. There are some that haven't filed 6 to 10 years. Okay. So then the question becomes, do I have to file all of these taxes? So I want to talk about that so that you understand how the process works, so that going forward, you have a good understanding of what's going on. I almost forgot, one thing to talk about in this. Okay, so I wrote that down. All right, great. So first of all, the question is about the substitute for return. If you have not filed and the IRS says, okay, we're going to file this substitute for return, also known as an SFR, that does not count as your filing. You would still have to file that return, okay? So, and the thing with the substitute for return is that it only gives you your, what income that's reported. So if you have a 1099 miscellaneous or a 1099K that gets reported along with your W-2 or something like that, they're not taking into account any deductions, any dependents. They're going to file you and, hey, you're single, here's no tax credits or anything like that you might be entitled to. And here's your tax bill. Thank you. They're not taking into account any type of expenses for your business. Any of that is like, here's this income that's reported that you owe taxes on. Boom. Here's your tax bill. There you go. So you don't even really want to have an SFR as a return, because a lot of times it's not accurate. The only time an SFR is really accurate is if you're, single W-2, don't have any dependents or anything like that. But it still does not count as your filing. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, if you have, several years of returns that have not filed, so you only need to file the first 6. The 6 most recent tax returns, but okay, so the 6 tax returns bring you into compliance. However, there is no statute of limitations on not filing. There's no statute of limitations on tax debt. And what I mean by that is you can have that first 6 tax returns filed, but that doesn't mean that they're not still going to go back and collect if you have more than that, okay? So if you've got 10 years worth of tax returns that have not been filed, you got to file 6 to be in compliance. But if you've got, 4 years worth of tax debt in those other 4 years, you definitely need to file those too, because there's no statute of limitations on unfiled returns. So it doesn't matter if they figure out now that you didn't file taxes back in 2000 and you owe on that tax return. Guess what? That debt will now have penalties and interest that's starting from the time that tax return was due up until now. And then the IRS has another 10 years after that to collect that tax debt. So don't just, hear, okay, well, I only got to file 6 years. No, understand that, there is no statute of limitations on taxes that are not filed. A substitute for return does not count as your filing, and they can go back and collect, okay, for as long as, okay, don't play with that. And so when it comes down to dealing with tax debt, the IRS will only deal with you, will only, consider offers in compromise or anything like that if all of your taxes are filed. And you have to be compliant for the next 5 years. So if you get all these taxes filed and then you decide 2 years down the road that you don't want to file, well, then they can come back and ask for all of their money, right? So, so you have to understand that, yeah, you can make this deal, but, you gotta be compliant for the next 5 years going forward, or they can come back and demand all their cash. Now, when you do file these taxes, okay, filing back taxes costs. I tell you all the time that prevention is way cheaper than the cure. And so when you're talking about filing multiple years of taxes, you are going to have to pay multiple years of fees. Okay? So it's not like you decide, okay, I'm not going to file for 5 years. I'm going to go to this tax person and they're only going to charge me for filing 1 year. No, that is not how this works. You have to pay for each individual year as if you were getting, if you had done them all, annually, right? If you had filed your taxes annually, you would have had a specific fee to pay. And so if you had paid that fee annually, it wouldn't be such a bite. But because you are now filing a whole bunch of taxes at once, yeah, that's a fat tax prep fee. Yes, it is. And so this is why I tell you to file these taxes, y'all. Okay? So, and also with the tax debt, and something else I want to mention before I forget, because people think this is new and it's not, is when you get up to owing $50,000 in tax debt, yes, the State Department will hem up your passport. So, you're thinking, you might not be going nowhere anyway. Listen, your passport is more valuable than your birth certificate and your social security card. Your passport can be one of the most valuable things that you own. And to have your passport suspended or not renewed, that's ugly. Okay? Like, seriously. So, and that's if you owe like $50,000 or more. So if you've got that in tax debt, you're going to have to get that down because, yeah, the State Department will, you won't get your passport, boo. And that is not cute. Okay. Let me tell you, that is really not cute. So just understand that when you're dealing with tax debt, this is a long process. It's not that you go and file these taxes and it's all done. No, it's not. And listen, if you're filing these taxes and you're due a refund, you got 3 years to claim a refund. So even if, let's say that you have a past year where there is a refund and it's past that statute and you've got tax debt, they're not going to take that refund and apply it to that tax debt because it's no longer valid. Now, if you're within the statute of limitations and you're due a refund, they're going to take that refund and apply it to the tax debt. Please do not be sitting around here listening to these folks talking about some hardship stuff and then you're going to get your refund and you still got this tax debt. That is not how the IRS works, okay? Because the tax debt is not going away. You have to go through a process, whether it is an offer and compromise process, whether it's a payment plan. Those things take time. And it's not just federal. You're also dealing with your state. 43 of our states have an income tax. If you live in one of those 43 states, not only are you going to have to deal with the federal government, you're going to have to deal with your state. The federal government takes 10 years to collect. Most states go up to 20. So basically what that means is if they can look and, based on what your income and all of your expenses and all of that are, if they can get their tax money in that 20 years or that 10 years, they're not cutting you a deal that you're going to pay. And please, oh, please, do not lie about your income, assets, all of that stuff, because all of that stuff does count. You cannot be sitting on, $400,000 worth of equity in your home and think you're going to walk away not paying these taxes. You can't sit there and have some huge investment account and think you're going to keep all that money and not pay taxes. That is not how the government works. And you can go to jail for lying about your financial status when you are dealing with this stuff, when you are trying to settle tax debt. So I'd say that please, oh please, do not lie about your financial status when you're dealing with offers and compromise and payment plans and dealing with the IRS and handling tax debt. That is not the way to go. Do not sit there and think, okay, well, I'm going to operate in cash so this money doesn't land up in my account. Don't be trying to put your money in somebody else's bank account, somebody else's name. All that stuff gets caught. And people wind up going to jail. And not only that, then the deal that you have goes out the window. And they want all their money. No longer is it the what you agreed to, the agreed upon amount. They're gonna want all their money because you lied about your finances. Okay? So that's just extra. So the bottom line is you have to file the most recent 6 years to come into compliance. But if you got tax debt, you probably gonna have to file all of that stuff, figure out what the damage is, and then make a plan after that. Okay. And yeah, get ready to pay. Okay. I'm gonna be really honest with you. Trying to, sit there and say, well, you're doing just this, you're working just one time. No, doing multiple years is multiple tax prep fees, and it's going to cost. So if you file your taxes on time, this is not as burdensome as trying to do it all at once. Okay. Because yes, you have to pay the person that is preparing your taxes. That person is not the IRS. So yes, you got to pay the person and you got to pay the IRS. Absolutely. So do not confuse that, because we as tax professionals, we don't work for the IRS. We are not the IRS. We are tax professionals that are helping you pay the least amount legally allowable. That's what we do. That's what you pay us for. Okay, not because, you owe the IRS, then you don't pay us. No, that's not how that works. Okay, so I really hope this clears up stuff based on how, what you have to do when it comes down to back taxes. Listen, come into compliance. Do what you got to do to get yourself up to date with the IRS. It's only going to work out better for you in the end, because anything that you deal with that has to do with the government, if you've got kids that are going to college and you're trying to get financial aid, guess what? The FAFSA is they faster than the IRS when it comes down to finding out that you have not filed, or if you have filed incorrectly. So it impacts not only you, it can impact your children and, trying to go to college and getting financial aid, all of those. Yes, absolutely. So dealing with the government is not just the IRS, it impacts all parts of your life. Okay. So that's it for today's episode of Home Biz Tax Talk. Again, we air Monday through Friday, and you can come right here to get your questions answered about your home business taxes. All right. Have a great day, and I will see you all next time. Bye.